Hi everybody, my name is Jim and welcome to my channel. If you're new, I hope you enjoy the content that you find here. If you're a long-time subscriber, you can consider this the beginning of the 2022 season. Like most of you, I'm sure, you're going through your gear, cleaning it up for the upcoming season, buying new gear, and I'm doing the same. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at my new tent, the Big Agnes Tiger Wall UL1. This is my old tent, the Big Agnes Fly Creek UL1. UL stands for ultralight. Those of you that have seen some of my videos are probably wondering, hey Jim, why did you go out and buy a Big Agnes tent again when you've had issues with this one? Well, you know, I really haven't had any major issues with this tent. You know, the only downside or the only issue that I've had over the years, and it's a minor one, it's just sort of a minor annoyance, and that is that the shock cord has to be readjusted every year. Now, that may be standard with some tents. I was a long time REI tent user, and I never had to adjust the shock cord on my REI tents. So when I switched over to Big Agnes, you know, now every year it's a thing. Every year I've got to adjust. Every third year I've got to replace it. Now that said, you might also be wondering, okay, Jim, why didn't you get an REI tent? And frankly, this tent was in the running with an REI tent, and the only reason I went with this tent is because of the bright colors. Since I do a lot of solo backpacking, it's important for me to have something that can be seen. Should something happen to me and I injure myself and I have to be rescued, I want someone to be able to find my campsite from the air. So it's as simple as that. So what I thought I would do is just do a quick comparison between these two tents. I mean, you know, see if am I actually losing anything in buying a new tent. Now the reason that I'm getting a new tent is because frankly, I'm not as young as I used to be, and having started to do some tarp camping over the last year, I've really come to appreciate getting in and out of a shelter from the side as opposed to from the front. This tent, I've got to get in from the front, which means that I have to crawl in head first, and then I have to do all sorts of contortions to get my head back around to the front of the tent, set up my sleeping bag, position all my gear, all that sort of stuff. Similarly, when I crawl out, I've got to, you know, crawl out and then, you know, do all these machinations to, you know, try not to get my feet wet or whatever else I might be trying to do. This tent opens up from the side, so I'll just be able to roll out like I do a tarp, and I think that'll be a little bit easier on these old bones. Now, a couple specs. I weighed both of these tents. This tent came in at 2 pounds and 3 ounces. This tent came in at roughly the same, 2 pounds, 2 5/8 ounces. Now, the specs say that this tent is actually 2 pounds 1 ounce, and I've got extra shock cord that I'm carrying in here, so it's very possible that that extra shock cord, you know, could be 1 or 2 ounces. So maybe this is slightly heavier, but everything else is pretty much the same between these tents. The floor plan is pretty much the same. They only open you only enter them in different ways. The floor size on the Tiger Wall is 19 square feet. Now the floor size on the Fly Creek was supposed to be 20 square feet. So that said, the length of the Tiger Wall is 38 inches at its widest point, which would be at the head, and it is 28 inches at its narrowest point. Head height is 39 inches. The real big difference between these two, other than how you're getting into it, is the vestibule. So the vestibule space on this is 5 square feet, and the vestibule space on this is 8 square feet. So I'm really going to enjoy having that extra vestibule space, because I always did find this just to be a little cramped. I'm the kind of person that likes to put all my gear inside the tent or underneath the rain fly to keep it dry. Construction wise, they're pretty much the same. They use the same type of poles. This has 11 stakes where this has 8 stakes. Now the The Tiger Wall comes with this little pamphlet and all of this additional stuff. Something that goes into the poles, they're DAC poles. Something that goes into their solution dyed fabric. So when you look this up online, you're going to see a lot about this solution dyed fabric. I'm not going to go into it, but they are very proud of their solution dyed fabric and their attempts to save the planet. Apparently the solution dyed fabric is more environmentally friendly than, say, whatever they use to dye the fabrics on this tent. And again, something going into the solution dyed fabric in different languages. A big Agnes sticker, so if you're a sticker person, you get one of those. And then something that goes through the new tent stakes that they offer. The main pamphlet just goes through the different characteristics of the tent. I guess there's a new buckle system, which we'll see when we get the tent up, and they've added a 3D storage system that you can buy separately and install in the tent. So that's a quick overview. Let's take the tent out in the front yard and pitch it for the first time. Like any piece of gear, the first time you use it should not be in the backcountry. And this is why. There was a knot in there, and if I had taken this out and it had been raining and I'd been in a hurry, I'd be fumbling around in the dark trying to get this knot out. Got a nice little piece of cord keeping it together. I'm sure I can, is it shock cord? It's not shock cord, but I can put this to good use. So this is the tent body. It's nice bright yellow. The rain fly. Got the stakes. Again, there's a knot. That time it was a slip knot, so it came out easily. There's supposed to be 8 stakes, so let's do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now these stakes are interesting, and they're different than the other stakes that I have. They have sort of this I-beam construction, which I guess gives them rigidity, makes them stronger. I've never had issues with the existing stakes. And again, another knot. Also a slip knot. Looks like the poles come in a bag. I will of course leave the bag at home. Got some rubber bands on them. I'll leave the rubber bands at home as well. Nothing else in the bag except the setup instructions, which I'm going to largely ignore. Okay, so let's get to putting this thing together. With the tent poles, there was also this emergency field splint. Should one of the poles rupture in the field, you can use this to fix it. So I'm going to take the extra cord and the splint and just put them in the tent bag. So the body of the tent is bright yellow, which is handy should I need to be found by air in the backcountry. And then we've got the rain fly, which is this muted color, which is nice to keep me, secluded and relatively unseen when I want to be secluded and unseen. This color scheme blends well with the surrounding granite that I often find myself camping in and around. Should be relatively easy to set up. Now, as I mentioned, the floor plan is identical to my existing tent. Okay, so I've got the tent body up. It was pretty easy to set up. I thought I'd go ahead and just go through some of the features I'm seeing before I put the rainfly on. Now I'm already seeing improvements over what I already have. As I said, it's basically the same floor. So I've got the same amount of room there, but you know, one of the improvements that I'm seeing is the storage space up here. I don't know if you can see that. You can see it's got this crescent opening here on the inside, so that you can store stuff. That'll be great, because I love, you know, I love to put you know, wet socks and stuff above me in my tent to try to dry them out. And then at the front, it also has, looks like it has one smaller pocket, which I guess you can use to put cell phones and such. And what I am not seeing, here they are, yep. It's got a side pocket here. So, but it doesn't look like it has another side pocket on the other side, which is a shame. There's no reason why this tent can't have, at the head, pockets on either side. That would be nice. My current tent does have pockets on either side. It does not have the above head storage, so I guess I can't complain too much. Now, what they do with these big Agnes tents to create this this raised floor is to take a single piece of cordage and basically lash it in at those 2 points and create tension there. So it's got this little anchor point here to keep the door open and up, should you want to do that. It's got 2 anchor points on the inside, and I'm sure that that must have something to do with that additional storage that you can buy and install separately. Down at the stakes, we've got this clip system, so the rainfly is going to click in here. You can see that the poles basically fit into a small hole at the base there. Okay, so I am going to quickly put up the rainfly. My gardeners just got here, so it's gonna be a little bit noisy. Okay, so here we have the finished tent. Probably have to do a little tweaking to make sure that the tent floor doesn't stick out beyond the vestibule, but it's not so bad. Now, interesting thing here is in the back here, this guy line doesn't have a knot or anything anchoring it in. It's just you know, it's just going looped around the tent peg. I'll probably change that, or maybe you know, maybe I'll put a knot in it as I'm using it. Another thing to note, if you purchase one of these, is on the inside here, there's a little pocket for the top poles to go into. You need to make sure to put those tent poles in those pockets before you bring the rest of the rainfly down and stake it in. And you can see in the back how this is looking. It's got an additional guy line here, should you want to pull that out. However, it does not come with a knife. Actually, interesting. Yeah, so there's an additional guy line here, and there are additional guy lines here and here, but there are not additional tent pegs. Now, there is a tie down point at the head of the tent that I did not use. And the reason I didn't use it initially is because it's a different color than the rest of the tie downs on the rainfly. So I thought maybe it was supposed to be a secondary point. And instead, I used the 8th stake on the vestibule. In looking back at some of the images of the tent, it looks like this tie down point is made for the 8th stake, which makes sense because, you know, you do want something to pull the center there away from the tent so that you're not catching rain. Okay, so let's take a quick look inside. This is the interior. Pretty good size vestibule. Let me open this up a little bit. Now, what would be nice, it would be nice if I had an extra tent peg so that I could basically unpeg this and, you know, maybe peg it down here. But I guess what I'm going to have to do is just roll it up. Okay, so I've rolled up the one side of the vestibule, and we'll take a quick look on the inside. Okay, so Inside we got a good amount of space. We've got this shelf up here, as I mentioned before. We've got a shelf here and here. Okay, great. So there's 2 shelves up here. And the shelf here on the bottom right. Now I've got plenty of room in here, as you can see. I'm 5'6", and I've got my feet about 6 feet from the edge there. And up here, I've got plenty of headspace. I'll have plenty of vestibule space. I think this will work out really well. So I'm going to cut it short. Sorry for the noise. I will try to edit out as much of the noise as I can. If you watch to the end, thank you for watching, and have a great day. So I've pivoted the camera slightly. Can you give me like 10 minutes before you start? What? Can you give me 10 minutes before you start?
Yeah, I do the neighbor.
Okay, great, thanks.